to it definitely coming.
My personal game of the year will likely be Metroid Dread. So let's get into it. Let's talk about Metroid Dread, ladies and gentlemen, coming out tomorrow, the
Friday, October 8th
of October.
As we're recording the next day, Friday.
What do you guys think of Metroid Dread? Have you seen anything? Are you hyped?
I checked out a couple reviews. I'm trying not to spoil too much. I don't want to get too into it. I just want to. I kind of want to.
Metroid have a story?
Yeah.
Does Metroid have a story? Bro. Metroid has more of a story than a fucking princess getting stolen by a reptile needing to be saved by a plumber. I'll tell you that, motherfucker. All right. Metroid has. You know what's so funny? I've been thinking about it. Metroid has such a huge story and such a mature story for what Nintendo typically gives out. I didn't think about this when I was younger, but I've been thinking about it the last few days in my anticipation for Dread. And there's a lot of things that people don't really know about.
Not to be confused with your Dread for anticipation.
I'm not dreading it, you know.
No.
So, Metroid, actually, the first Metroid and the subsequents have been heavily inspired by Aliens.
The movie.
The Aliens franchise,
right.
which a lot of people might not know. So much that one of the main villains that is throughout every single Metroid is Ridley. And he is this creepy-looking, purple, fire-breathing, plasma-breathing, tail-swinging, dragon, alien-looking thing. And it's called Ridley. And it's they named it that. And they're unabashedly, saying that it is an homage to Ridley Scott.
Another French word. Homage.
Oh, that's cool. You know what? I never put that together, David. You've just blown my mind tonight. I'm like,
I put it together and I never even played it.
I get it. Okay.
Give me your Metroid card.
I like it. Yeah.
And then so if you also notice too, Ken, the Metroids themselves, much like the face huggers in the Aliens franchise would hug on your face. If you noticed in the game, the Metroids would get on your head.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like
these
jellyfish-looking things that jump on their head.
Cranium.
So the Metroid series has always had a feeling of, forgive me, dread. To be at the soundtrack, the sounds from everything that you're doing. Shit, man, I remember. So Metroid, Super Metroid, is one of the two games that really made me a gamer. Now, the first game I probably played, I think, was Super Mario Bros. On the SNES or the NES.
The NES,
and then I played other games on the NES, right? But then the Super Nintendo came out, and I played Zelda: A Link to the Past, and I played Super Metroid, and those two games are who I am. That's what started me. That was the beginning of David.
Did you ever play Metroid 2 on the Game Boy? On the old school green screen Game Boy?
Did not.
I tell you, it's amazing to me what they squeezed out of that horrible technology, like that ugly green screen. But you played that game, it was still an awesome immersive game, and it when I say the graphics were good, for that time they were really good. Like they had shading on the creatures and stuff, and it was, you could scroll either way on the screen.
It's fair to say that Nintendo has always tried to do their best with what they have.
Oh yeah, they made the most of that system with that game. 100%.
Same thing with Super Nintendo. Yeah. You look at Super Metroid right now. You go back and you take a look at a video of Super Metroid. It still holds up. You can still play it.
Lighting
Super
on it,
Nintendo
it's
a very pretty system.
Yeah.
Same as Sega Genesis.
It had some really neat tricks to it, and the sound design on Super Nintendo actually had a Sony sound chip in it.
Tell me about it.
I know that, and it for that time, the music was fantastic. I mean, it's just really good. One of my favorite things about Metroid games, though, is that almost every game has a really neat twist to it. Spoilers for people who haven't played any Metroid games. But
it's been 20 years.
Yeah.
Get out of here. You can be spoiled. All right, what do you got?
When the first
Longer than
came
that,
out,
I assume.
You didn't know who the protagonist was. Samus Aran, that's not a boy or girl name. Like, who is this? And you don't find out.
That sounds like a Jedi name.
you don't find out it's a female character until you beat the game, and I think you had to beat it within
On
a
which
certain time limit.
on which title? Yeah, I remember
The
that.
first Metroid, the
Yeah,
very
yeah,
first Metroid
yeah,
on the NES.
yeah.
Because you play that game, you're just the spaceman shooting the aliens.
But then in
and
Super Metroid, every
Yeah.
time you died, your suit exploded, and then Samus
You
would
would
be
see her,
bikinied. She'd just be like bikini, you know.
So
you,
the first Metroid,
Yeah.
everybody assumed her gender.
They did.
And,
They
Yeah.
assumed your gender, and then you find out Samus.
they better be
is a
glad they're
girl.
not living
And
in
there
this
was
day and age.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and there was
Yeah.
as soon as gamers everywhere who notoriously hate women found out that it was a woman, they just took their systems and threw them out the window
Threw that Nintendo in the
and
wall.
took a shower to get the cooties off. And
But-
that's why the series never amounted to
that's-
anything,
yeah.
sadly.
Hey,
No
hey,
ball.
hey, hey now,
Metroid games. Hey, yeah, you're
Yeah.
hey now.
digging into some stuff here.
I'm kidding, of course. That didn't happen.
Anyway, so Metroid 2.
There's a lot of people that love the Metroid franchise. You know, it's funny. I saw a
Don't
post
come
the
and
other
find
day,
me.
and the person said, "Hey, there's Link lovers, there's Zelda lovers, there's Mario lovers, but
Land
if you're a
lovers.
Metroid person, hit me up." And
Yeah.
there's a fan base for it, and it's huge, man. And I know it's not as kid friendly as most Nintendo games, by far, but I've matured with it, and I was playing this game. I was playing Super Nintendo, Super Metroid when I was 5, 6 years old, 7, something
Yeah.
like that. And I was playing this game that was probably way too hard. I remember it being super hard. Because
to do the wall jump.
Yeah,
The
the
wall
wall
jump was
jump,
really
where those little
tough to
animals
do.
are in that kind of like green area, and you've got to do the wall jump up that long. Dude, I remember that being so hard, and what's so
It is
funny,
hard.
I watched a 100% playthrough the other night while I was doing work. I had a 100% playthrough up on, and the guy got to that point, and I was like, okay, he's been so quick this whole game. He's going to just knock this out. And I remember it being so hard, and I was like, I can't wait to see what he's doing. And then it was like not as hard for him, but he was still having a really hard time, and that made me feel good because I'm like, okay, but it probably took me hours, and it took him 10 minutes.
Well, because you had to like roll the control pad,
Yeah.
like it wasn't just like you press right and then jump and then you press left on the other side.
You had to hit it
like
right, and then
there's a
also
technique
notice
to it,
the
man.
animation, and then flick it at the right time. Yeah,
it took a lot of practice. I spent a lot of time on that.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah,
But anyway, like I was saying on the big reveals in each game, because the second game you're supposed to eradicate all the Metroids, and then you end up saving this baby Metroid at the end, which that was a really cool, story beat. And then in the third game, that baby Metroid ends up saving your life at the end, and that's one of my favorite endings of a game where they make you so overpowered at the end. They give you this like unstoppable laser beam, and it's so awesome when you get to use
that's
that
Metroid.
and fight in the
There you
Metroid.
go.
Yeah, the mother.
You don't need to play Dread.
Yeah.
You already know what's gonna happen.
What kind of twist they'll have in this one? Because if they kind of follow that pattern, like each game had a pretty cool ending. Like some of the best endings of video games for me is that they save like a really neat plot point or a twist at the end. So I'm hoping they follow that pattern with this one, and they give players a really good reward at the end and something cool that's memorable. Because that's the kind of stuff that makes those games memorable. It's like you play through it, you're having a good time, but when it has a really cool ending.
That was cinematics, bro. They threw cinematics in before there was cinematics, and that's what that was. These boss fights had this crazy shit going on, and it was cinematics. You could no longer control your character. She was kneeled down on the floor, and something was going on. You're like fighting for your life, shooting missiles, and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm shooting missiles, right? And then you're kneeling on the floor, can't do anything, and a Metroid swoops in, tries to save your life. They brought in like cinematics to that shit in a way that wasn't done before because you couldn't. And that's what's so impressive about the 2D Metroid franchise is that they were able to make it cinematic by doing certain key events that were happening in battles within the game. And even though Samus didn't talk at all, they still had a way to invoke emotion. And man, such a great franchise. I'm so excited for Dread.